Well, I've got good and I've got bad news. What do you want first? Definitely the bad news. You've always got to start with it first. Well, you've got no grass. The growth rates are right down. So things are going to be pretty tight for a little bit. Okay, well, I kind of already knew that, but what is the good news then? Well, there's this new pasture monitoring software that's out, and it's very, very cool. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. So I've just shot round and finished off my pasture walk. I actually got started yesterday, but didn't quite get finished, so I just had a couple of paddocks to do this morning. If you're not from a farming background and not familiar with one of these, this is a plate meter, and what happens is that this circle on the bottom there measures how thick the grass is, and when you put it down it lifts up, and that's how it gets a height of how much grass there is in the paddock. I brought this last year. It's actually a true test one, and I probably should have got another one. See, on this one it's actually wireless, so it connects to my phone, but I'd probably prefer one that tells you the reading on here. To be fair though, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this one. It's just, I'd prefer just to see the reading than get it off my phone. But unfortunately, and I do mention this a lot in my videos, but it is the reality of dairy farmers down here in New Zealand at the moment, and that is around our milk price. So it's not looking very flash, and that's why we have got to be pretty onto it. And I have started measuring our pasture covers. I've never actually done it before, but I wanted to do it this season just to become more accurate and know exactly how much feed we've got, because when the payout's low, we've got to maximize sort of every dollar, and grass is the cheapest form of feed. So I want to know exactly how much we've got and see which paddocks aren't producing as well as they probably should be, and then I can make decisions around that going forward. But to measure the pasture covers, I needed kind of a good software to be able to enter all the data in, and that's where I am using the software called Aimer. It is pretty cool actually. It's actually from a local company. They're based in Hamilton. They got launched at the field days back in June, so it is a fairly new startup, but it is very cool, and I'll show you some stuff on the computer soon. So what I do is I walk around the whole farm. It takes me a while, roughly about sort of 3 hours to get around the whole place, and all the measurings, all the readings from the paddocks, I enter it into my phone onto the Aimer app. Well, it's not an app, it's sort of like a web page at the moment, but they are creating an app for it, and then it gets put into the map. This is what it looks like on your computer. So obviously I've got my map of the farm here. They do that for you. They sort of just go off existing boundary lines or paddock lines on Google Earth, but there are a few little changes I want to make, like that paddock there. I want to split it in half because that's what I do normally. So I want to know either side, and I'll just send them a picture saying what I want to do. But this map, and the reason it's actually different colors, is because off my last pasture walk, it is saying that the orange paddocks, they are abnormally, or they're growing abnormally compared to the others. So the ones that are green are saying they're all within this range, and you can see over here on this sort of crosshair section, the ones up here, they're growing too fast, that's why they're orange, and these are these new grass paddocks through here. There's also that annual paddock over there that's going pretty well, and there's these orange ones down the bottom here are saying, like that paddock, they're not growing very well. It's under the average. So that's quite cool to see. It also gives you a map, and these are the covers from each paddock. So what you want to see is this darker sort of green color, but because I haven't got much grass at the moment, everything is looking quite yellow, obviously. Then if I go into cover and growth trends, this was the last walk I've done just here. So we're growing 30 kilos of dry matter a day, and it really hasn't done much more than that. I've only started doing them since July, so it's just through the winter, and we really need to see that pick up, because if I go down even more, this is the current pasture cover on farm. So when we started calving, it was 2360, and it has just dropped, and you can see it's sort of steadily declining. So at the moment we're only at 1970, which is very, very low. It's not where I want to be, but unfortunately corresponds with that growth, which is right there. We're just not seeing a lot of growth. And from the farm walks, it also logs the pasture production, tons of dry matter per paddock. So the darker sort of blue it is, the better, and the lighter yellow, not so good. So there are a couple of yellow paddocks here, which means they aren't growing very well. That one down there as well. It's got a bar graph just to the left here. So the green is unknown pasture. You can say what pastures are on your farm. The blue is Dominate, which is the annual, and then Legion, which is the grass I've been using the most for regrassing, and new grass is this orange. So you can see that the new grasses are at the top, which they should be. There's also a couple down here that aren't growing as much as they probably should be, but it's quite cool because once I have all this information after the summer and going into the autumn, I'll be able to look at this map and say, oh, well, these pastures aren't doing as well as they should be. We're going to target them. Probably can't do that paddock because it's a little bit steep, but ones like this, we can say, oh, we're going to target that. We're going to put it into a crop next year and get some new grass in it because they are just really underperforming. So it's a good way to keep track. This paddock here, which is the blue, so that's grown the most on farm at the moment, that's a new grass. So that was in maize last year. So it is quite cool and a pretty useful tool. One really cool feature about AIMA is that during the busy times of the year, like calving, when I don't have 3.5 hours to go and do a farm walk, it can work out my covers for me. So what you do is you've got to have 4 walks in the system to be able to work it out. But because it knows from the data, it's like got a mind of its own, that the paddocks that do grow more grass will have a higher growth rate. So you go around and measure 10 paddocks, it can work out those growth rates, and then it applies it to the farm. So instead of having that 3 hours, all it would take me is about 45 minutes, and I can get a pretty accurate and reliable pasture cover, which is definitely pretty cool and a massive time saver. One other really cool thing is that it can also work out a grazing plan for you. So what I'm actually in here, because I'm changing something, this is the young herd. There's 134 cows. They milk once a day. I need to change that. They need 2 breaks, so they need to be shifted twice. There's the map of the farm. These are the paddocks that all the young cows can get. So obviously I've made another mob with the highs, and they get all the paddocks that are highlighted brown or that aren't highlighted in there at the moment. Down here I've said what they need to eat per day. So the target pasture offered is 14.5 kilos. They're going to get half of that in the morning, half of that at night. They need to leave behind 1,500 kilos of dry matter residual, and they're getting 1.5 kilos of silage a day at the moment. With the AM ratio, I need to change this. So that is 0. They're getting 100 in the afternoon or in the PM. So save that. Total allocation is 16 kilos. I'd love that to be 18, but I just don't have the grass at the moment. So here are the 3 mobs. There's the highs. They're the same. They're getting offered 6 kilos on the pad in the afternoon, 100%. Their total is 18, and they're getting 12 kilos of grass during the day. So 50 in the morning, or 50% in the morning, 50% at night. They've got a same thing, leave that residual at 1,500. Then once you've entered that information in, this is the grazing plan. So it's got the 3 mobs down here, and it also tells you, see paddock number 40, you're going to get 2 days in there. Break 1 on Saturday, and then break 2 on Sunday. I've actually got those supplements on a fixed setting at the moment, and you can change it to sort of floating. So if they're not getting enough grass, it'll tell you that you need to feed more supplements, so they're always getting that what you say they should, or vice versa. If they're getting enough grass on their break, it'll tell you to drop it. But I just kept it at 6 because it's just easy. I go and put the same amount in the mix wagon every day at the moment. I would like to drop it once I do get a little bit more grass. That's the cool thing about agriculture at the moment. There's just so much new technology being released, and it's also sort of advancing at a rapid rate, which is awesome. But AIMA also has something coming out mid to late September. They're having a bit of a launch for it. It's called AIMA Vision. Actually, we're in September now. First day of spring today. And it gives you the ability to be able to, like, how cool is it? This is seriously cool. But you'll be able to pull your phone out and take a video of the paddock you're in, and it will measure your pasture cover off the video on your phone. So that is very cool. I haven't used it yet because it hasn't been released, but I'm seriously looking forward to it. And just to give a good example of where I think it's going to be pretty handy, it's when I'm moving my cows, say in the afternoon, onto the feed pad, I can just go back to the paddock and sort of zoom around and see what the cover is and see if they're hitting the residuals. Obviously I could do it by eye, but this way is a little bit more accurate. So I'm, yeah, like I said, looking forward to it big time. But I'll be able to show you guys more of that once it gets released. And I actually need to take the drill off. What am I going to do though? I can put a bit of wood under there, but I kind of need to jack it up, otherwise I'm not going to get the tongue back in next time when I need to hook it up. Well, maybe I could figure that out when I need to do it, but Yeah, maybe I'll just block it for now. I was planning on using it today, but I rang Lee yesterday because I had to order some more mag oxide. He's my Wrightson's rep, and I was asking him if he had any mohaka in store just by chance, and it turns out they didn't, so I've got no seed for it anyway, although they are getting a pallet of it come in next week, so I've put my name on a few bags. It's actually supposed to be a little bit wet next week, which is bad timing, but there is one good thing about the rain coming, is that it actually looks like it's warming up. So at the moment our nighttime temperatures are really, really low. They're only about, well, we got a frost the other morning, so they're about 0 to sort of 3 degrees, and with the rain it looks like they're going to lift to about 6 to 8, which will make a bit of a difference, grass growth. I mean, Dad always says we grow really good grass once that nighttime temperature gets over 10 degrees, and it won't be too far away now that we are in spring. It'll certainly help, but yeah, we really don't need too much more rain. A little bit wouldn't hurt, but yeah, we don't need a lot, that's for sure. What I really need to do is make some blocks up, like cut these in thirds to use for stuff like that would be pretty handy. I don't even need little pieces lying around. Like little offcuts are perfect, but no, that's nailed on. And the reason I had to take it off is because I've got to put the bale feeder back on. Dad's still feeding out a bale to the young mob. Oh, perfect. Oh, that's why they were on this side. Wasn't thinking. Right, and oh yeah, right way, just wrong way around. Perfect. Not wrong way around, just the wrong remote. Dad here actually, he's just picked some stuff up from me from town. And while he's doing that, I'm going to put a little bit of sustain on. Only got 2 bags left, and then the whole farm is done. Oh, look at that, perfect. Didn't even have to top off. I'm going to get that second bag on tonight because it's not going to grow any grass sitting on a pallet in the shed, and that'll actually tidy it up, so I'll get the whole farm done with that load there. But that will pretty much wrap it up for this video, guys. What did you think of Aimer? I think it is a pretty cool app to be using. It's definitely going to make me think about things a little bit differently. Even now, I am wondering about our chicory. So what we do is we grow chicory 2 years in a row in the same paddock, but in between we don't leave it through the winter, we put an annual in instead. So now I'm thinking, well, because we have these worse off paddocks, maybe we should be growing chicory for the summer, then putting it in like a grass like mohaka, which is like a 3 to 5 year grass, which is going to grow really well, and by the time that 3 to 5 years is up, maybe we could come back to it. But there's other paddocks on the farm that need improving because obviously they're not growing enough grass, and like I said, grass is the cheapest form of feed, so it is definitely going to make me think about things just a little bit differently, and we're always trying to improve on things as well, so I think it's a cool tool that is going to be useful going forward. but I will talk about it more. As I get more data, it's going to be more interesting to see. Like I said, I've only done 5 pasture walks, so as I get more data, it should sort of even out and balance out, get more accurate as we go. But give it a thumbs up, that'd be awesome, and apart from that, see you next time.